Hello and welcome back for my first update on the Harrier build. As you can see, it progressed along pretty well. First thing I did was a lot of the pieces that just two halves to glue together. I did that, like the fuel tanks, the gun pods, the wheels, just glue them together. They went together pretty well. Just a little sanding on the edges to get them nice and smooth. So you get the focus, as you can see there. And basically for the sanding, I just used a few different sanding sticks by Flory Models. Just taking my time, just making sure I didn't obliterate too much of the raised details, but still get attached the seam. So basically I used a rough one, just a couple of small ones, and then like a little bit of a lighter finishing one. And for all this I use just a little bit of water, do a little bit of wet sanding on it to give me a more smoother finish. So there was no problems with the fuel tanks or the gun pods. All that went together well. The wings pretty well, no issues along the edges, except maybe a little bit here along this part here. So just had to do a little bit of sanding, a little bit of filler just to get that to line up correctly on both wings. Also on the edges here on the wings, see if I can get this to focus. You see there's some details there. On one end it glued pretty well. On the other end there's a little bit of a gap. See if I can get that to focus, as you can see there. So I need to address that. There was also a little bit of a gap here, which I needed to address. Again, a little bit of putty, a little bit of filling. Otherwise, nothing major in that. Same thing for all the other smaller pieces. They went together well. No real issues. Same thing with the exhausts. Same thing. Just a little bit of wet sanding, and you just totally eliminate the seam that you have. As you can see, can't tell exactly where the seam was much. Alright, and there was those little small pieces. Now for the actual fuselage, see, I already put the cockpit all painted up and dry brushed. I'm going to put the pilot figure in here, so I'm not too concerned about all the details in there, like the details that's molded into the seat. All that stuff is going to be hidden by the pilot. The instrument panel, you can see it, just hand painted it and dry brushed it. I'll put that in later after the pilot is in. No real issues with the two halves. Again, just a little bit of filler here and there, and then some polishing and sanding. The only real issues I had was putting the front of the engine cowlings here. As you can see, I have some filler there, so the fit wasn't exactly that great. Excuse me. So I used a little bit of filler and sanding it down just to make it nice and smooth, the transition between this piece and that piece, because there shouldn't be any gap where they meet up. All right, that's basically it. So far for an old kit from the 80s, it goes along pretty well. Like I said, not major issues here. One thing to point out, if you do have this kit, these are the horizontal stabilizers. I clicked them in place just to test fit them, but the way they go in, no glue, they just click right in. I thought I can just take them off to paint them afterwards, but they're pretty solid in there, so I won't be able to take them off. So if you have this kit, just be rest assured they'll click in place, they're staying there. So for painting purposes, I would just have left this off. All right, stay tuned for another update next week. All right, thank you.